Co-founder is building the central hub of the business future. We are starting with a 600 million crowd sale market today, but our final goal is the 130 billion VC investment market.
So all right, well, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the Blockchain Speaker Series. I'm Mark Joseph, your host, and today I'm interviewing Mehdi and Hamid of, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, the Dether project.
That's perfect.
Great. Well, welcome, gentlemen, and welcome our YouTube community. The Dether project is something that I could actually use myself, and I would say that your working product cannot come quickly enough, because I will, of course, let Hamid and Mehdi explain the problem that their project looks to solve and overcome. But I'll give my preliminary understanding after looking into the project. It's something of a peer-to-peer specialized Ether marketplace where users are able to purchase Ether using any form of fiat currency, or many forms of fiat currency, without a lot of the, well, what really amounts to work when it comes to dealing with crypto purchases from using fiat. There really is historically been quite a bit of work. There's just a lot of labor involved, and anything that can reduce that would be really welcome. So I'm excited about the project. If you gentlemen could introduce yourselves and maybe talk about how you two got started working together. There's a little bit of information about that on your homepage. Sounds like a good story, and I really like what you mentioned in the sort of bio of how you two got started working together, that the genesis of this project was as a result of you two gentlemen identifying yourselves that after having worked in the blockchain space on projects that are similar, or in the space at any rate, that this doesn't exist and you needed it, and so you decided you had to build it. So yeah, if you could tell us a little bit about how you got, elaborate about the story, how you got together, and then if you could tell us about what this project will help us to do.
Okay, well, thank you, Mark, for inviting us. We're super glad also to be here tonight talk to you guys.
My pleasure.
So my name is Mehdi, and yeah, we've been working together since like a year and a half. So we started working together on the blockchain proof of concepts, mainly for big companies like big banks in France, insurances, and stuff like this. But every time we would come up to this idea that there is like a huge gap between reality and the crypto world.
Yeah.
And we also from, our origins are from Africa, North Africa. And every time we would work on blockchain-based products, we would think that, remittance today is a huge pain. A lot of people would like to send money back to Africa, for example, back and forth. And we were actually thinking about a solution about how to transfer money like within seconds and for a few pennies, for example.
Yeah.
But every time we would come up to this first mile and last mile issue, like how do you make sure that, for example, when you send Ether Bitcoin to someone who is in Algeria, for example, how do you make sure that he can actually use it, for example, to pay rent, for example? Because this is like something that happened to me. I had my cousin back in Algeria. His name is Mos, and he wanted to pay rent because he was facing some financial difficulties.
Yeah.
And I just sent him Ether. He knew what was Ether, but he had never played with it.
Right.
I asked him to download like a Jax wallet, and I just sent him some Ether that he rented it. But I didn't realize that it is impossible to use Ether over there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, his landlord doesn't know what it is, so he won't accept it yet. And there's no way he can also sell it for fiat currency, which is the Algerian dinar. There is no online exchange that accepts it. And even if they do, he doesn't have a bank account, so he cannot transfer it. And he cannot find someone near him that would accept Ether, for example, to change it for cash.
Right.
Even though there are some people who would be willing to do it because they go back and forth from Europe to Algeria and they have cryptocurrency. And when they land in Algeria, they would actually need Algerian dinar then to live there. So they would be willing to change it for Algerian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even for so many apps who are coming right now for some financial services to unbanked people like We Trust or Humanic, that's a great application. But if you can't easily transform your local fiat currency into Ether, you cannot use them efficiently. So you think that this bridge between local fiat currencies and crypto world are missing today.
Yeah, and we started with Ether because we've been in the Ethereum communities since
Right.
a bit before the down case.
Mm-hmm.
We went to DevCon 2, and we were like just amazed about how the community is building amazing products on top of Ethereum. We think that, like Mehdi was saying, we feel like people all over the world tomorrow will need Ether and token to interact with these decentralized applications.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that tomorrow we won't address, for example, the Bitcoin also industry or token industry. So people can easily buy Bitcoin.
Sure.
Or coin or tokens as well.
Yeah, which would certainly be helpful, but the primary problem that would be so nice if it were solved is this first and last mile. And so, yeah, you make a good point, and I do recall that this point is made on your homepage, that it isn't just a matter of convenience for some of us who have bank accounts and all of that. It's actually a matter of something much more important, not necessarily maybe perhaps survival, or you know, the kinds of barriers to financial services that are in certain parts of the world. It's a barrier to opportunity for, you know, wealth building, and in some cases just getting by on day-to-day matters of paying the bills. So that's a really good point.
Even when you come back to Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, so that Bitcoin, he calls it, you know, like an electronic peer-to-peer cash system. So obviously today cryptocurrency is electronic. It's kind of peer-to-peer, but it's definitely not a cash system. How do you make it a cash system? How do you,
Right.
you know, like use it as cash and be able to pay anything? So this is also our goal. And when you do that, you can address the whole world. You don't need a bank account or to be able to have Bitcoin. The only thing you should be able to use is your phone and have internet access.
Right, and then the truth is, you know, if you, I'm sure you guys have actually experienced the real life consequences of these barriers. But, you know, for those of us who haven't really experienced it ourselves or had a direct family member experience it, we've had to study. You know, what are the reasons for these these so-called intermediaries that make up, I guess, something like 15% of worldwide GDP, the financial services sector, and if, you know, we can bring that down to something more like 0.0015%, I think is feasible, then, you know, there's really just a lot more abundance and resources available to do things that have more legitimate value. There isn't any reason why 15% of worldwide GDP needs to be going towards the exchange of information that represents value. It's really quite absurd. I'm certainly. Oh, by the way, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I looked in your roadmap and it said something. According to the timeline, it shows that the white paper was released recently, but I actually wasn't able to find it. Tell me about that. Am I missing it?
We're gonna release it like very, very, very soon.
Okay.
It's almost, I mean, it's like 99% written.
Right.
Just realizing some stuff about the use of our token.
Yeah.
We were actually ready to publish it, but because of the recent very fresh news about the SEC and tokens,
Yeah.
we are still talking about some very small issues regarding the decision.
Yeah. Good. Good.
But
Well.
and publish it. It's gonna come very very soon, and afterwards, just after that, we're gonna release an alpha version of Dether, which is, according to me, more than an alpha, but maybe doesn't celebrate. We have like a discussion between us about that.
Well.
And people will be able to use it on testnets,
Yeah.
on Koban, and already they can, like find buyers and sellers around them, exchange Koban together, chat together anonymously. Like it's the real workflow that we're gonna have afterwards, which is gonna be on testnet.
Fabulous.
Our white paper and the alpha are almost done, but we don't want to rush to publish it because we are in August too, so people are not all. Some people are on vacation, so
Yeah.
we don't rush. But it's the job is almost done.
Well, the truth is, you guys have only very recently announced your project. It's all really quite. Am I right? It's yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
we are working on it since. We are thinking about the project since the beginning of 2017.
Yeah.
We were working on side project and another project like iExec. We were on the iExec team.
Right.
So we haven't too many times to focus on our project, but since 2 months we are 100% on this project. So
yeah, and because we had the chance to work on a lot of decentralized applications and blockchain-based projects, mainly,
Yeah.
we have this kind of ability to go really fast as well.
It is
developing.
fast. Yeah.
And we're also a team of 8 people.
Yeah.
We're not only 2, we're actually 8.
Right.
So we go really fast.
Yeah. Well, I've got a lot of experience with business development, and you guys are moving pretty fast, so that's great. So since I didn't get a chance to read certain aspects about certain aspects of the project that tells me how these things are possible, I'm sure that along with me, the audience is dying to hear the answers to this burning question, which is all right. So how are we able to use fiat to purchase from these local tellers? I guess they could be local, and they don't necessarily have to be local. But if you could walk us through, the step-by-step process of the user experience, that'd be great.
okay, so I will begin with the seller part and then the buyer part. So
Sure.
if you want to sell your Ether on the platform, you come on the platform, you click on sell, you register your ratings, how much you want to take on the trade, the currency you want to use. You define a point of the map to be visible by the buyer, and then you register. It will be registered on the smart contract. So you have to, before all that, you have to credit your account with the Ether.
Yeah.
And then you register a point on the smart contract. So after that, when the buyer comes on the application, click on buy, and you will see all the seller around him. And then you will chat with the seller, and then organize the meetup. Then the seller take his cash and send him.
Oh, that's the significance of the map placement, is because you actually meet. All right, I didn't get that. So this is this is very amusing to me. So you're actually using this IRL, this in real life proximity, to eliminate this last mile problem, where there's actually a physical handing over of cash.
Yes.
The goal is to really have a peer-to-peer solution. Like Dether doesn't hold the funds. its Ether, so that the seller keeps its Ether in his wallet. We don't have any control over it. And at the same time, when they talk together, we're gonna integrate, for example, Whisper. So for the first version, we're using Telegram. Then we want to use Whisper.
Okay.
And and it's exactly the same. We don't have any control. We cannot read the conversations as well. So it's really peer-to-peer. And then they have to meet up in order to exchange fiat currency or Ether.
That's so funny. It's great. You know, it's really sort of a wrangling. I don't know. Do you guys understand what I mean by it's a wrangling? You're wrangling with some rigor this problem that the banking institutions have created, and you're sort of saying, well, we're just not going to let this stop us from doing the things that we need to do in terms of, you know, exchanging value with family members and our business partners. We're just going to make this happen by jumping in an Uber or whatever and going 10 minutes down the road and meeting in the Starbucks and making it happen.
The goal is that any cryptocurrency holder can become what we call a PTM, people teller machine.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually walk around, go abroad, and sell your cryptocurrency. And at the same time, if you're a buyer, you only need a smartphone to get into Dether, look who's around you willing to sell a cryptocurrency for you in exchange for it. And this is like the first part of Dether. Then we have a second one we haven't talked about yet, the physical shops. Because we also integrate physical shops in our map who are willing to either exchange for cryptocurrency for cash, just like tellers would do, or who are willing to accept cryptocurrency as a means of payment as well.
Yeah.
So we build an ecosystem on the map with a buyer, seller, and a physical store. Yeah. We want to interact in the crypto area.
And yeah, there's like a huge problem because in some countries, just like in China, for example, China doesn't have this. I mean, the problem of registering online, for example, on an exchange, cryptocurrency exchange, is actually kind of different than in Europe because the KYC is really fast. Like when you register and you send the scan of your ID, they usually take like 10 minutes to check it because they have a really strong.
Where?
Really
In Europe?
In China.
Oh, okay.
Which is not the case in Europe. In Europe, sometimes it would take like 2 or 3 weeks, for example, which is a pain because if you want to buy quickly, Ether, for example, a cryptocurrency, you still have to wait 3 weeks in order to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But they have that problem that a lot of shops are willing to accept cryptocurrency as a means of payment, and they don't have this solution to address the crypto community. So that's also the reason why we want to integrate this feature. And what's funny is because, like you were saying, we basically communicated about Dether like a month and a half ago, so that's really recent.
Yeah.
Just a month ago.
Yeah.
And we already had some like really good contacts with people managing network or physical shops in some countries abroad, and they're actually willing to be either already on Dether because they think that people tomorrow will definitely use cryptocurrency to buy more and more items.
Right, exactly. There's a synergy there.
Yeah, definitely.
Very nice. I'm curious about to learn more about your plans to offer this network and application to the Chinese market. I didn't see. I'm looking. I don't see a Chinese version of. Yeah, what are your plans with China?
Oh, that's a really good question. China is a huge country. It's like a continent. So I think it really takes time to address this market. Like I was telling you, Mehdi and I were in DevCon 2 last year, so it was in China, and we were actually really amazed by how people are getting more and more interested in blockchain first, then cryptocurrency in general.
Yeah.
And when I say people, it's not just like the crypto community. It's also like like a father that we met, for example, who who was willing to buy cryptocurrency because, in China, for example, gambling is forbidden. So they actually have this tendency to also be more interested in cryptocurrency. And I think that's one of the reasons why the volumes are exploding in China, for example.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got it because we have some really good connections over there. But the strategy that we have in mind is to actually, we have like specific countries and cities actually in our roadmap that we want to address. And we're gonna have like a road show abroad. So we're gonna go from one city to another to present Dether and feel like how people react about it. They have specific like demands because sometimes in one country and one city you have like some cultural how can I say like specifications, like it depends. Like I know in some countries people don't use cash, for example. They think that cash is dangerous, which is not the case in some other countries. Like for example, if you go to Germany, if you go to Algeria, in Germany you can buy a car using cash. People do it every day. In Algeria you can buy a house using cash.
Really?
It's like people come like with like huge bags of cash and they buy a house.
Jeez.
And in some countries people do that because they think it's dangerous. So we also want to feel this cultural specifications.
Yeah.
To see people would be willing to trade on cryptocurrency.
And so, yeah, I think that's a really good idea to do the road show. I know there are more and more meetup communities, especially here in China. There's actually two of them in the next week. So yeah, that's a good. They're a good opportunity to get your message out there.
Actually also South Korea, Japan.
Yeah.
Japan has the biggest network of physical shops that accept cryptocurrency, for example, which is for us really, really interesting.
That would be really nice. I have actually not yet experienced the chance to pay in crypto, but I'm starting to reach the point personally where much of my financial dealings in terms of like personal wealth management is all crypto, and it's starting to become a case. It's starting to become more than just personal wealth management, but also matters of daily transactions, and it's this inability to move, or the challenges of moving between fiat and crypto are starting to become more than inconvenient. It's becoming a bit of trouble, actually, in terms of it's not really that I'm unable to do things. Well, it is actually the case where there are times when I'm personally already experiencing missing opportunities to do certain things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just the way our bank can block your credit card payment even if you have food in it. It's a big pain these days. It happened to me.
He said that because it happened to him 2 days ago.
Yeah, and so come on, I have money in my bank and I can pay. So that's the problem. And with crypto, you don't have this problem. Your money, you pay it.
And how do they have how can they? What gives them the right to make these decisions when we haven't authorized these blocks? It's really quite audacious.
Yeah. And what we have also in our roadmap is to also integrate a stable coin on Dether, because some people are kind of they get scared about volatility of a cryptocurrency, so they will be willing to buy it if you guarantee them like a stability of the coin. And this is something we also want to integrate afterwards, because we feel like a lot of people will actually use Dether to buy cryptocurrency. And if it stays stable, they would be willing to either pay with it or to send money abroad, for remittance. So that's also something we want to do, and we're close to the stable team. I don't know if you know them. It's a consensus project.
Mm-mm.
We're building a stable coin,
Okay.
and this is something we definitely also want to have on.
Yeah, it could be helpful in pursuing or aiming for larger adoption.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
This.
That could be one of the barriers that block cryptocurrency mass adoption. I think in the short term, but then in the middle term, when people get used to it, volatility is probably not going to be a problem because people will know how to deal with it. But in
Yeah.
the short term, then the ability to have a stable coin,
Yeah.
so to change currency for a stable coin, that's something I think that's really important for its success.
Sure. That is one of the primary reasons given by non-crypto enthusiasts for not becoming involved is the volatility.
Yeah.
Many of us love the volatility. We benefit from it because we've spent, and we're comfortable with it because we've spent enough time in the space that it isn't volatile to us. We already know largely. Well, maybe some don't. I happen to be pretty confident about my choices about which projects to invest in because I've done very well. So, if you're in the space, you kind of you get a pretty good sense of what is legitimate and what has value and what the timing of things are going to be. But that's not the case for the general population.
Yeah, exactly. Especially also for, it could be the case also for the physical shops. For example, yesterday we went to buy a sandwich to a guy next to where we work, and we were telling him about what we're building and kind of Bitcoin, and he said, "Yeah, I would be interested in having Dether as a mean of payment, for example. You guys can integrate it in the app." But at the same time, I didn't feel like he was a fan of the volatility, for example.
Yeah.
Of cryptocurrency. But if you guarantee him that what he's going to have is going to stay stable, that's definitely something he would try really fast.
Sure. If you think about the experience that, really many people on the planet, well, I suppose there are some countries that have had such volatile currencies that they do have experience with these, but for most Westerners and East Asians, I don't really know that much about any other parts of the world other than Asia and America, but for those countries, the currencies have been stable, so it really isn't part of their, I believe the word would be paradigm. It really isn't part of their paradigm to consider that the currency that they're using to either price their goods and receive payment, or that they're using to purchase sandwiches outside or pay for their rent could actually be changing by more than 0.5% in a 6-month period, like we see with or whatever. I guess 0.5% with the USD and stuff like that. Very small fluctuations. So that is something that I guess we might see in years to come. There may be a greater level of comfort with that, but if we can just eliminate or reduce that issue of how the currencies are presented by presenting them as non-volatile, that'll be helpful.
Yeah, they do. And in some countries they don't even care because, like in Venezuela, for example, the hyperinflation is so high that they would be definitely willing to invest in a cryptocurrency that potentially tomorrow could decrease because they would still be winning afterwards.
Yeah, right. They would still be winning.
Yeah.
So let's see. When, we didn't talk about, do I see this on your roadmap? When is your token? Yeah, I don't. When are you planning, or have you decided when your token launch will be?
We plan to launch it in October or November this year.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, I think that
this is fresh. You get the fresh news.
Yeah.
First time we communicate about the date.
Very exciting. I think that it's good timing. Right now the space is cooling off a little bit at the moment because there have been too many.
Yes, yes, but we want to wait to launch the alpha version so people could think about if they like or not, if they think our application can solve a real problem, and then launch the token set.
Yeah, I think that's
Now
wise.
we are focused on white paper and the alpha version, and then we could begin.
Yeah, because our goal is to build the first version of Dether where you can use tokens like really fast, like probably beginning of next year. It's good to one. So we don't have a strategy where like you do like an ICO, like a token sale, and then wait like 2 or 3 years to have the first version of a product. We want to have it like a couple months before you can actually use your token.
Well, all right. I would say that's a good choice that you sort of looked at what some of the complaints from the investor market have been about some of the projects that have raised like 150 million without a prototype. But you're going to have an alpha product that can be tested, and I think that's a good idea, and it will be really so. I'm actually just thinking about my own travel plans because there are problems that I'm starting to experience, or that I can anticipate experiencing because of how crypto asset focused my personal finance matters have become. So I'm starting to think about, all right, so if your project is going to be able to be used and actually live perhaps first quarter of next year or second quarter, something like that?
Yes.
For sure, next quarter, next year. Our current version, the alpha version, is a working project, but we don't have had any all the security audit we need. So we want to run it on Covan, test, but actually you can register as a seller, and as a buyer you can contact the seller. That's the basic stuff you need to begin to trade Ether. But we don't. The physical shop store will be added for the next version, but the basic version is almost done. So as we are clear on the security audit and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and we can begin to
I mean,
test it.
you could think that people would actually be able to use it to trade Ether between them, because we have a wallet. So in Dether, like we were telling you, where people can send money to the Dether wallet to show to buyers that they actually have Ether to sell, and then when they meet up, they trade together. But so we're gonna test it on Covan. So right, so like Mehdi was saying, for security reasons.
Yeah.
But you can get tomorrow. You're gonna use the first version of Dether, the alpha version, to find a buyer. And then if you want to use your Jax wallet, for example, to send Ether and trade for real, you can still do it.
Okay. Let me see. What could we? I'm interested in talking about how it is that you're going to get user adoption in the various regions. So you're going to have your token launch, and your white paper, I guess, will have some. You have some decisions made about budgeting for the proportion of your capital raised. So there's I would guess there'd be some portion that will go towards marketing and user adoption, and you're also going to have a tour of certain key cities. How is it that you will, for example, get new users to sign up in places like Bangkok, Thailand? I have plans to travel there, as well as I'm here in China, and I also have plans to travel to Malaysia. And I'm really curious to know when I'm going to be able to look at the app, find a local user, and no longer rely on getting spending money from the USD earnings that I have, but rather get some local spending money in my crypto earnings, which are starting to become more significant than the USD earnings.
Yeah. So what we're doing first in order to address the whole world, we're not building an iOS or Android application, mobile application.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a React or
progressive web app application,
Yeah.
but we have all different versions you can download from the store, but you can also go on the app through your basic navigator, smartphone navigator. So we want to allow anyone anywhere, even if their local app store doesn't validate the app, to interact with the Dether map.
So yeah, technically it's a way for us to address the whole world. And then, like I was telling you, we have a really specific strategy that will be detailed in our white paper to say which markets we are targeting and for which reasons. Because the demand there is either exploding or because they're really facing a problem. Like I
Right.
was telling you, Venezuela or North Africa.
Yeah.
We feel like these people, these nations, are going to be our early adopters.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And
This will sell itself.
And the third thing is that in Dether we're also going to integrate like an affiliation program. Like you, as a user, actually, you can also sponsor someone, and both of you guys will win something. So we also incentivizing people to welcome other users on it, and so everybody's winning something at the end.
That's I think you're in a really good position because of it's unfortunate that so many people in these in places like Algeria have been suffering these problems of transaction barriers, but I think you're in a really good position to have a very successful project because they really do need this. And when you have a user base that's going to be as large as what you'll have in these kinds of places, it'll be a lot easier to build on that and gain adoption, where your project will really just represent an increase in convenience for some of us. So.
Yeah, of course. And what we're doing also is we're actually already talking with some teams who are building decentralized applications on top of Ethereum, so dApps.
Yeah.
Because we're probably going to have this same strategy. Like we were talking about, for example, products like, I don't know, like Gnosis, or also this kind of decentralized application that could be used all over the world. And they have the same problem. How do you make sure that they can address the markets worldwide where the product is actually needed, where people would be willing to use it?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is discussing with teams like this in order to make sure that we can actually communicate together, address these markets together, so that people can actually use Dether to buy their tokens, and then with the tokens, they can use their decentralized application.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know you've got a lot of hard work ahead of you, but I honestly don't think that achieving user adoption is going to be one of them. I really look forward to seeing how that goes, and hoping to see it in the countries that I spend time in.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we will do some stuff like launch event in some big country, and put in place, like Hamid said, some referral mechanism, so we can have an organic growth in our app.
And we have a lot of ideas about that. We're just going to experience some of them, so the ones that we think are the most accurate.
Yeah.
So we're going to follow the lean startup model, where we're going to try, measure, and go forward if it works, or iterate. Another idea we have is, for example, to create a new job, which would be a teller. You could work as an independent teller. You would actually, for example, come back to Europe to speed up your wallet with Ether and just travel all over the world and, like be like a person telemachine. That could be a job that you could do tomorrow, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of these interesting arrangements that are coming about in the blockchain space that they actually can they do look like jobs. Actually, they can be a little more than full time, or they can be more than just a side thing or a part-time gig.
Yes, exactly.
It's very cool. Or they can just be a grouping of those as they talk about in the gig economy.
Exactly.
But they're a lot. I really, these opportunities that are starting to show up they're really a lot more fortuitous than some of the other historical gig economy arrangements of running around and picking up groceries or things like that. So I really like the idea of a job as a PTM. That would be really cool. You get to travel and provide a very much needed service.
Yeah, and if like when you go to vacation or like like stuff you would do on a normal basis, like when you travel with your family, you wouldn't have to go through like the regular exchange place where they take high fees, for example. You can just find someone near you who would be willing to buy currency. I'm saying this because it happened to me once, so I was just like really glad that I would be able to change cryptocurrency for fiat with the really good rates instead of going through like a exchange place where they take really high fees.
Absolutely. Well, we generally do about 45 or 50 minutes, and I know you guys have got another big day ahead of you. But I want to talk a little bit more about just before we wrap up. There's an aspect of this project that you haven't really promoted it, and to some people it's really maybe not considered to be particularly desirable. It's this required activity of going and actually meeting with certain other people, but I think that there's something that we could consider to be quite valuable about that. The modern world, in the modern world, in terms of work and socializing, we've moved into this remote work, home office type of, a lot of us, not you two at the moment anyway, but a lot of us, and maybe you as well at many times, but a lot of us spend our days working in our home office. We socialize by playing League of Legends in the evenings with our league friends, and other social activities are done on social media. If you're into that thing, I'm particularly allergic to social media myself, but that's the world has moved to take for people to be having on a massive scale a lifestyle of digital interactions. And this idea that you would perhaps once a week or every couple of weeks to replenish your local fiat currency that you want to use for local spending or otherwise, that you actually meet with another human being who happens to be forward thinking and intelligent enough to understand and appreciate the value of crypto assets is actually, it could be, it sounds nice to me. It also sounds like a potential opportunity for, other than just socializing, there's a potential business networking, a general purpose business networking benefit there, where you're actually getting a chance to meet with other intelligent people who are, who fit that description I just gave. So I think that's really cool.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why we talk about an ecosystem. It's really like an ecosystem of people from different countries, different backgrounds, coming to the same product, using the same product for different purposes.
Yeah.
It's really like what we want to build with Dether.
When you don't really, so there are times when you're busy and you don't have, it's unfortunate that you have to go, and go about the chore or the errand of doing an exchange outside. But if you plan your schedule, like people like me, I mean, time management, I mean, we're masterful at time management, and we don't really ever end up having to go somewhere where we're not enjoying the trip, you know, to the local whatever it is. So, you know, that can be something that we use at, you know, for, there's so many digital nomads and people just, you know, with this, you know, digital lifestyle, where we don't necessarily have to make a, many of us don't have a daily commute. And we have to invent reasons. We have to try to think about what reason do I have today to go outside? All right, let me go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym today. Well, I don't need to go to the gym today. What else can I do? So, you know, you get a chance to go see somebody. That could be really cool. So I think that's great.
Even if you don't want to go out, you can ask the tailor to come to your house and take you the heater you need or the Fiat you need.
Yeah,
that's a possibility with the app.
Yeah, I mean, like in Dether, the seller says on the map where he's willing to sell.
Right.
And the buyer is the same, but you can imagine that you point your home as a, you know, like on the map. I mean, some people will not do it for safety reasons.
Right, sure, yeah. Of course. It's going to be a lot of Starbucks meetings.
Exactly.
And when you chat with the seller, you can set up a meeting where you want, near your house if you want.
The best thing is that, because, you know, when you use Dether once, you're probably going to use it twice.
Sure.
And if you want to go through the same tailor who's going to sell you ether, for example, and you trust him, you can just tell him, you know, where you're living, and he can probably come.
Yeah. Once you've got, now the whole rating system makes sense to me. Before I understood that this was actually a physical meetup, but now I see. Yes, you certainly want to be choosing from the available local tellers. You know, which ones are cool.
A reputation system on the smart contract for this ID, so you can trust the people you interact with.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so, well, I think it's a great project, and I wish it was available in about 60 days so that I didn't have to, you know, I'm going to have to be transferring USD to Bitcoin to USD to then some other foreign currency. It's just ridiculous. I'm so annoyed by this.
You pay fees every time you change it, right?
But just the principle of, you know, having to make these unnecessary and plan for the lead times for these unnecessary conversions is just it just irritates me so much. I think it's just so wrong. So, all right, well, very good interview, guys. I really appreciate you joining me, and I'm sure the YouTube investor community is glad to hear from you. It's a very good homepage, I will say. So it's a really great start there. But it's very helpful and much appreciated. I can say, as an investor myself, that we do like to hear from founders. We like to hear your backstory and, you know, what drives your work and your vision. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And like we were saying, the alpha is going to come really soon. If y'all want to try it, we'd be super happy. We're looking for a lot of feedback, so don't hesitate to tell us what you think about it.
Great. Yeah, and I'll put the homepage web address in the video description. And I'll let you know in the Slack when I've, generally 2 or 3 days, it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday of probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I'll have, there's very little editing to do, but I'll finish the video and publish it and let you drop a link into the Slack to let you know. And,
okay, thank you.
Great. Well,
perfect.
All right. Well, you guys have a great Friday and a nice weekend. It's very nice meeting you. And best of luck. I don't think you'll need it. I think the project is awesome. I can't wait to have access to it.
Thank you so much. We'll keep you posted.
Great. My pleasure. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.